Hello again and welcome everyone to another special insider training call. This is Devin Murray and today is our special training. We're going to be talking about search engine optimization. Before we get going, I just want to again thank everyone for taking the time and being a part of our community and for helping grow your schools and to help more kids out there in the world. I do truly appreciate it, and you know that I love all of you for what you do. So today I just want to we're going to talk a little bit about search engine optimization. So kind of my goal for today is not to make you experts in any way, shape, or form on the subject. There are hundreds of books written on SEO. There's even master's degrees now out there on simply this one subject that we're going to spend about 45 minutes talking about. So I don't want you to think that I'm out to try and teach you everything there is. However, my goal is for you to understand search engine optimization enough to be able to talk with the experts so that they're not talking down to you and so that you're getting the results that you want. I'm also really what I'm going to teach is going to be enough that unless you're in a really competitive market, you're going to find that you're going to be able to win with just the stuff that I teach you. Now, yes, if you're in an ultra competitive market, if you're in New York, San Francisco, LA, some of the other ultra competitive markets, it's gonna take a little bit more work and you might need to bring in an expert. But for most of your markets, you really don't need it. You just need to put those little tweaks in there and you're going to win, and you're going to be one of the top 2 or 3 results in search. Right? So first off, so let's just kind of step back and realize, what is search engine optimization? You'll also see it regularly referred to as SEO. And it is really nothing more than trying to help the search engines, basically Google, right? I mean, that's the 800-pound gorilla out there, understand what your website is about so that they can show your results higher to your ideal customer. Ideally what we're looking to do is we're looking to help the search engines to understand what our website is about or what our web page is about so that it will show up as the number 1 or number 2 search result when someone searches for, I'm going to use the example through all this of a private school in Denver. Right? So if I'm a private school in Denver, Colorado, I want my search result to be number 1 or number 2. Right? When you look at the statistics of what link people click on, about 80 to 85% of the people click on the number 1 result. We find about 30 to 40% click on the number 2 result. Now, some of those people will have clicked on both of those. By the time we get to number 4 or number 5, we're down to 5 to 10%. So our goal is very simply to get our search result to the top of the page so that people can see it and people will click on it and come to our school's page, to our school's website, so that we can then convince them that we are the right solution for their problem. Now, to do that, we have to help the search engines understand what our web pages are about. All right, so first, let's talk about what color is your hat. You might have heard this sometimes: black hat, white hat. There's several different ways in which you can get to the end result of getting your page to rank in that number 1 slot on Google. The first way is black hat, and this is working against the rules of conduct of the search engines. The search engines have very specific rules, and a lot of them, quite frankly, of what you are and are not allowed to do to your website in order to get it to rank. Some of the ones you're not allowed to do: you're not allowed to have hidden content. A lot of times you'll find back a couple of years ago we would actually hide white lettering on a white background. So we could put words that no one else would read or see, but we could put them there and the search engines would find them. Some of the other things are having what's known as a cloaked site. So I will show a visitor, a human visitor, one page, and I would show the Google search tools another page. Those are some of the illegal things, and Google has said, quite frankly, we're not allowed to do that. And the thing with this is it is basically illegal, and at some point it will get you into trouble. All right, it provides very quick results. It's a way to get results that really work very quickly up until you get caught, and then your site might be banned or you might lose everything. If you've heard any of the people talk about the penguin and panda updates, which just decimated a lot of sites. The other latest one that's happening now is the fake news sites, that they're going out and just crushing fake news sites. A lot of that stuff was black hat because you were not necessarily providing an honest, open description of your page. And because of that, they've just gone ahead and crushed the sites in the results. And I've seen some that were playing some interesting games go from search position number 1 or 2 back to 100, 200, or even 300 down. So that's in a 10 per page. That's 30 pages. I've known no one that will ever go that far back except for someone like me who does this for fun. So you really want to make sure that you're avoiding that black hat stuff. If someone comes and goes, hey, we've got this great new secret way that Google hasn't yet figured out how to block, and we can get it to work, and we'll get you ranked to number 1 within the first week, that's probably black hat stuff. And yes, you might get ranked number 1 in the first week, but 6 months down the road, when Google figures out how to block that, your website's going to get penalized and crushed back down. All right, so the other way that you can do it is to get white hat. And white hat is just the opposite of black hat, which is you're following all the rules. Now, this is also very challenging because all the rules are, they say you can't do anything to manipulate the search results, which means that I can't technically change the wording on my page to read better for the search engines or to think about how I might do it. So it's kind of one of those things, it's almost impossible to do that. The other problem is it can be very slow to get results as you're doing the white hat stuff. As you're doing things just the way you're supposed to do them, it can be very frustrating because to work your way up slowly through the proper paths, especially when we're talking about words, and linking is another big one with black hat and white hat. It's going to take you a while to build those links, which we'll talk about later, through white hat methods. And that can be frustrating, especially if you're up against a competitor who's doing black hat stuff. But know that at some point, karma will get people back, and you will find that the black hat people will get crushed, and you will come up slowly. And the final way is to get the results. What the other hat is, we call it gray hat. And this is somewhere in between. You're not really doing anything really wrong. You're not out there trying to technically take advantage of a loophole or something that Google's not able to catch yet. But you are going out and maybe buying a couple links. Maybe you're paying to be in a directory that's mainly designed to link back to you. Those kinds of things are okay. The point is just to realize how far to one side or the other you are, and are the results worth it, right? If you're already number 1 or number 2, is it worth it to go and put some risk and all this effort in to get up one spot? If you're back on page 2, is it worth it? Maybe. So just realize that there are pros and cons to black hat, white hat, and how far in that gray area you move. All right. So the algorithm, I think everyone's kind of heard the word algorithm before when we're talking about the searches. Let's talk just a little bit about that so you understand how Google in particular, but all the search engines have something very similar to this now, how they determine who is on the number 1 spot in their search, who's number 2, who's number 3. And it's all done by an algorithm. Obviously, people aren't doing it. It's not a manual setup anymore. So how does the search work? All right. So first, there's all these they're affectionately called bots or spiders, because they're these little programs that go crawl the web. So it's a very simple program, and they just get launched out, and they go to every single page they can get to. So every time that they go out, they go to a page, they read that page. If there's any links at all on that page, they kind of multiply themselves, and they'll go to every link on that page, and they'll find all those pages, and they'll go to the next page, and they just keep kind of spidering out and crawling the web, trying to find all the information that they can, to find every web page that they can. Now, if there's no links to a page anywhere on the World Wide Web, they'll never find that page. So, but first, so the bots are going out and they're crawling the web, trying to find all those pages. And then they look at the words on the pages that they find, and they put all those words into a big database. Right? And then what happens? So there's just that, and that all happens before anyone ever does a search. So this is going on 24/7, 365. There's all these bots crawling the web and picking up information. And if you've ever seen your analytics for your website, you'll see that pages that no one would ever go to are still getting a certain amount of traffic, and that's the bots. The small programs that are going out and crawling the web, and they're pulling those pages just so they have the words on them in case they ever need them, because they want to find every page out there. Then what happens when then people type in keywords into a search? Even to this day, we're still typing keywords into the search, although we're getting better now with the voice-activated AI devices. This is changing a little bit, and search is going to change over the next couple of years because of this. But for right now, people type keywords. So they want a private school in Denver, or best private schools in Denver. Right? So they're going to type those searches in, and then what happens is when they hit enter, the search engines jump into action. And what they do is they go through and they try and find the keywords that match what someone has typed into the search engine, with the goal being of trying to figure out what someone wants by their words, and then providing them the most relevant results. And they do this, if you've ever noticed, in fractions of seconds. 0.7 of a second is considered a long time for them. Half a second is what they're generally aiming for in order to how do they get the results out there. So, there's kind of two things. First, they have to figure out what someone wants by their search. Now, some of that is done by the keywords they've typed in. Some of this is done by previous searches they've done or where they're located. And finally, it's actually by the actual keywords they type in. So if someone just were to type in private school or best private school into a search, Google is going to figure out that they probably want someone nearby them, because their thought process being plumbers, right? If you live in Denver, you don't really care about the plumber in Salt Lake City, more than likely. So Google has said, okay, the default will be, if we think it's going to be a local search, looking for something that is local in nature, we're going to make it a local. We're going to automatically add that as one of the search parameters that they're looking for. But if you're looking for outside the area, you might have to put it in. So they're going to look for that to begin with. Where is Denver private schools? The other thing, then they try and step out, and they try and determine who best matches that from all the words that are in that big database that they created. So they try and match, okay, what school has Denver private school in it, in the database? And it pulls all those up. And then it goes to the number 2 and the number 3 and the number 4, and it's trying to find out who ranks best. And all this is done off of a ranking formula, which is done at the instant that somebody does a search. So when people talk about page rank, your page isn't necessarily given a rank all the time. It's actually created at the instant that someone types in that search. Everything is done in the background. All that data is pulled out of the database, and the results are returned to you, which is actually really quite amazing when you think about how much they do. Now, this algorithm that we're talking about that does all of this is kept secret. I mean, that is that's what made Google, was the fact that they went out and figured out how to create a search algorithm that was different than everyone else, that actually returned better results. It was one of the big things that made Google who Google is now, which is one of the most profitable companies out there. So the algorithm is a top secret. Nobody will ever let it out. They've told us, Google has said there's over 200 variables in that algorithm right now. It's actually honestly believed that nobody at Google even actually knows what the full algorithm is, because different departments work on different parts. So even if you tried to figure it out, you wouldn't be able to. But we know there's over 200 variables. Some of those are bigger than others. Some of those have been created to stop black hatters from happening. Some of those have been created to, again, help them understand what you're searching for and look at your past search histories when you're going into it. They also change it regularly. They've told us that last year they changed it just about 400 times. They changed the algorithm, which means that they're changing it just about once a day. They're making some little tweak to that algorithm because they're always trying to improve the results that they are providing to you. Because Google and all the other search engines know that as soon as they stop providing relevant results, people will go to another search engine. The instant that they stop providing valid content, people will go to other search engines. This is actually one of the reasons why Facebook is having such issues with the fake news and with some of the elections that were happening. Because first off, Facebook is the number 3 search engine in the world. So, although we don't think of it as a search engine, it still is one because it provides a lot of search material out there. And what Facebook realizes, and Google realizes this too, is that if people are providing fake news stories or news stories that are so biased, but a lot of them are actually just blatantly fake, if they're providing those, people are going to someone go, oh, all I'm getting from Google, all I'm getting from Facebook is these fake news stories that then spread. So I'm going to quit using them and I'm going to go to someone who actually filters their news. So that's why they're always trying to improve everything as they go along. All right, so knowing that there's 200 variables, they're changing them daily. We can't tell what they are. However, a lot of us are smart enough that we've been able to reverse engineer what a majority of the big variables are. There's really, we'll go back to the 80-20 principle. 80% of your results on search are going to be from only 20% of those variables. And really it comes down to even fewer than that. We've been able to reverse engineer what the biggies are, what those big results, what those big variables are that you can change. And it basically breaks down into 2 major categories. What we call your on-page factors and your off-page factors. So really pretty simple, just breaks down in those 2 categories. Again, there's about 6 things that if you do those right, that's 80 to 90% of the algorithm that you can take care of. The rest of it is really background stuff relating to the searcher and making sure that people are not playing games. But before we get into those, I'm going to get into those. Before we get into those, I want to quickly step back and talk to you about keywords, because you really do need to understand what keywords are, because we talk about them, and that is the key to search. And even when we go to more of a voice-based search, keywords are still going to be a main part, a key part of the search. Again, remember, the search engines do not store a copy of your website. They only store the words that are on your website. So these bots that go to your website, they actually they don't have like a camera and look at your website. They actually read the coding in the background, the HTML coding of your website, and they're recording those words. The words that are in there. So even the images, they don't record really any of the images. What they do is they record the alternate tags for those images. And when they're crawling, they also drop all the filler words, like the thes, a's, ands, along with all the other connector words, the words that don't really mean anything to a website that everyone uses in the English language to connect. And all languages use it too, especially the Romance languages use these connector words. So the bots drop all of that from the database that they create. So what is left are the keywords that define your website. So just those main words. And those are the keywords basically that define your website. So it is only these words that define your website to the search engine, and it's important that you understand what those words are so that you can help Google understand what your website is about. Because again, these are very dumb bots that are crawling millions and millions of pages a day and putting them all back into a database to try and figure out what the heck your website is about. And you'll find, and this works because you'll find that different websites use different words. Okay, a private school will use different words than a dentist. Those use two very totally different sets of words. But you'll also find a pediatric dentist will use different words than a regular dentist. And that's how Google and the search engines are able to figure out what your website is about. They're going to pick those different words and put them into a database. So then when someone types for a pediatric dentist or child dentist or baby teeth dentist, right? Braces, that they're going to pull someone different than someone who's looking for a root canal or dentures. All right, they're going to pull different categories, and they're going to pull those words for different searches. So it's really important that you understand the keywords for your school, and I want you to think about them in the prospect of your ideal clients, the words that they will be typing into the search engine. This is where I wish I could just hand everyone just a sheet with all the keywords, and there is that one spreadsheet that I have put out there, but you have to also know what words people use in your community and what work for you. Is it a private school? Is it a Christian school? Is it a religious school? Religious-based school? Is it a faith-based high school? Is it a school? Is it a high school? Is it an elementary school? Is it a pre-K all the way up to high school? Is it just kindergarten through high school? Is it kindergarten through 8? All of those, you have to kind of figure out what are the words that your community uses. Is it a charter school? Is it a private school? Is it an alternative school? In different parts of the country, those words will change. So you need to understand what the words are that the people in your area are using and what your ideal clients are using. And some of the easiest ways to do this, to find those, one, just think about them, right? Two, look at your analytics and see what kind of searches, because you can actually see from that what words people are coming into your website having typed. You can actually go, oh, what is the search that they entered that triggered this search result, that triggered them to come to this page? Google AdWords. It's why I still suggest that you always run Google AdWords, even if you don't do much of an ad, just because you can see again what searches they are. They have their tool, their keyword planner tool, which will help you pick your keywords and know what your keywords are about. And finally, I will always suggest just listen to the words that people use when they call in and ask questions about your school, when they're looking to enroll. How are they referring to it? That first phone call that they call in on, what did they call your school? Did they call it a private school, even if you're a Christian school? Right? How did they refer to it as? That's one of the other reasons I always suggest recording those incoming calls so that you know what people are saying, so you can go back and listen to them and figure it out. So just kind of go through and learn those words. Obviously, if you need my help, give me a call. We can set up one of your one-on-ones with me. I do this a lot, especially with some of the newer ones of you or the ones who are really trying to compete against some other competitors. Let me know, and we can sit down on one of our 30-minute one-on-ones and actually come up with that list of keywords for you. All right, so now that we understand the keywords, because we're going to use them all the way through the rest of this section, now let's talk about the on-page factors. As I said, we've basically broken down Google's algorithm into two major sections, on-page and off-page. So let's talk about the on-page, and these are the variables that, as the website owner, you can directly update or control. Whether you're using WordPress, which I saw a status the other day is powering 92% of the web. WordPress, which is, if you don't know, is absolutely free. It runs everything from my website to CNN. So odds are, if you have a website that's based on WordPress, you'll also find there's a lot of those website builders out there, which again just let you go in and kind of manipulate data. And finally, there's programs like Dreamweaver if you're just having a static HTML website, which there's still a fair number out there. But through all of those, you can control all of these variables. So that's why they're called on-page, even though not all of them actually show up on the page. And the first one of these is content. It's just simply the page content. What does your web page say? It's the words on your page. And the search engines try and match the keywords in the search to the keywords on your web page to determine how relevant your page is to that search. So make sure you are giving the search engines the words they're looking for. If someone is looking for a private school, make sure that your web page is saying, we're a private school. Because if you don't, it's very challenging for that search engine to determine what your school is about. So your homepage is generally going to be more general content. It's going to say private school, parochial school, K-8, private high school. You want to make sure that your homepage has all that content. And because just think about this, if you don't tell the search engines what your site is about, how are they going to figure it out? These are very dumb programs. The bots are very dumb, and they're really trying to do millions of pages a day. So if you don't tell them, if your words don't tell them what you are, that you're a private school, a K-8 high, K-8, you're a private high school. If you don't tell them that, how are they going to know what your website is about? All right, so as a general rule, you want to use your keyword at least once per page. Again, I don't know how many times I work with you all and you come to me and go, we're not ranking well, we're not getting people from our web, no one's coming to our website. Why? And I'll open it up, I'll look at it, I'll look at your keyword density and find out that you, at no point on your homepage, did you say that you're a private school. And so the reason why no one's coming to your website is because the search engines can't figure out what you're about. So you want to make sure on every page you use your keywords at least once. And then you really want to have about a 2 to 5% density of those words on your page. So private school would be 2 words, but they do kind of get combined in there, so I'd say that was once. So for every 100 words on your page, you want to be saying private school at least once. Now again, use some of the alternate terms. Private school, we're a private K-8, we're a private K-12. Make sure that you're using those are considered, it's called LSI, which is latent semantic indexing, that they can that they tie those words together. They understand that different words can mean different things, but you want to make sure that you are putting those words out there. About 2 to 5% density, which means on your home page you should be having at least 500 words, closer to 1,000 words on your home page, which means that you should be using this, if it's 500 words, you're going to have it 5, 6, 8 times. Not that many. Right? Again, every page needs to also have about 500 words on it in order for the search engines to say that, oh, this is a unique page and we can understand what it's about. Anything less than about 300 words, and there's not enough words, especially by the time they drop the A's, the thes, ands, for them to really figure out what your web page is about. There's just not enough for them to index. So how do you check for the density? Now, I have programs that do this for me, but one of the simplest ways is really there's the word finder, which will actually highlight the word you're looking for. So simply navigate to the web page that you're looking for. Open up the word finder, which is generally up under one of the tabs at the top, or just hit Control F. About every browser out there does it. Mine here is Firefox. And then type in the keywords you want to. And you can just kind of see there Right up here, you can see, I opened it up. It has private school. And what would happen is if private school showed up anywhere here, it would actually highlight it yellow for me so I could see approximate density. I know about how many words are in a paragraph. But as you'll see, here's a school. There's 0 times that word shows up on their webpage. And then they probably wonder why they're not showing up under private schools when someone searches for them. So that's the real quick way to figure out what your words are. Go to the page, type in private school. If it pops up, great. If it doesn't, then your words are not in the content, basically according to the search engine. All right, so let's just a little bit more about that. I want you to think of each page, I think I said this before, should have a different set of keywords to focus on. I want you to think of each page individually in this. Although we think of our website as being all 15 to 20 pages, and there are some parts of that search algorithm that look at the whole page. The big factors that we can control are just related to that one page, and Google indexes each individual page as a standalone page, and then the algorithm might throw in some other stuff about how many pages your website has. Does it have that privacy policy page on there? But each page is ranked individually, so think about it. So each page you need to think about separately. Your home page needs to be that very general about the school. It's about, we're a private school in Denver, Colorado. Again, I'm going to stick with that example today because you'll see some other slides here where I'm using more of that. That's where you need, so that's what the home page needs to be about. It's about the overarching page. But then as you go further down, deeper into your website, your class pages should be about those classes or the grades that those classes associate with, depending on how you break up your website and those pages. So the page about a first grade class should really be talking about first grade and kids, of those ages and those kinds of projects and those teachers, versus a high school page should speak more about sophomores, juniors, and the class itself. You also find that that's a pretty big distinction there. So you want to make sure that that your pages are talking about those classes. All right, so that's kind of the on-page factors. Now let's go talk about the stuff that's not necessarily seen. It's called metadata, and this is the information that you provide to the search engines about your web page, but that doesn't necessarily display on your web page. The search engines figured out a long time ago that to have your page read normally and to look normal, they might need some more information from you, or there's information that they don't want to try and figure out on their own. So they have authorized us to put this metadata, which is actually in the coding of the page that the website, that the search engines, the spiders read, but that does not really show up on your web page. So it's not the words on your web page. But it is still stuff that is considered that you can control. It's still considered on page because you can control it from your website editor very easily. And I want you to think about metadata as if each page on your site was a book in a library. So each page, your home page is a book, your first grade class is a book, your high school math or your high school math or senior math, calculus. Oh, I loved calculus. Was or is a class on its own. Right? So think of each of those as a book in a library. And you'll see where this analogy really helps you out here in just a second. So the first of the on-page factors that is kind of hidden in the background is called the title tag. And it's a short title of what your page is about. If you were to look at it from our library analogy, this is the title of the book that would be on the spine. Now, the search engines only record or index the first 70 to 80 characters of the title tag. So it's really not even a complete sentence. It's just a very short snippet. Just like a book title is rarely a sentence. It's only a snippet, but it tells you what that book is about. And the title tag is very critical. It's probably one of the top factors in how well your page ranks. And the basic thought is you want it to be telling you what that page is about. Because just like with a book, you wouldn't want to have to read the whole book to figure out what that book is about. If every book in our library was just simply called book, how would that help us? Or home. I hate this when you all have your home page is simply called home. That doesn't really tell the search engines or people coming to your website what that page is about. So don't ask people to read your whole web page to figure out what you are about, just like an author wouldn't ask someone to read the entire book to figure out what the book is about. The title is there to sell people and to tell people what that book is about. So you want to make sure that you get your keywords into your title tag. Private school, private high school. Also, your location is a keyword. So Denver, Colorado is a keyword. Notice what I do not have here at the top of this list, or actually anywhere in this list, is your school's name. Because again, think about this from the searcher's perspective. Especially think about it from a new searcher's perspective. When a new searcher starts, they're not necessarily looking for the ACE Academy. They're not looking for Colorado Academy. They're searching for a private school in Denver, Colorado. That's all that they're looking for. So those are the terms that you want to make the most important. And it's kind of a side note, it's not on this slide here, but the further forward in those 80 characters that your keywords are, the heavier they're rated. So what words you put first, Google says, a title might have a title and a subtitle for a book. Well, the title is what really matters and the subtitle is secondary. So although we'll look at both of those, we're going to give the most credit to the first words that come in. So you want to make sure that your first words are the keywords. Your private school, Denver, Colorado. Private school and your location right off the bat. If you want to put your school's name up there, that's great. Put it at the very end of this list. Because even if it doesn't get indexed, if it's beyond that 80 character mark and doesn't get indexed, the search engines and the databases will still have enough information from you talking about your school on your pages to figure out who you are if someone does that narrow search, if someone actually does finally type in Colorado Academy. So how do you actually find your title tag or view it so you actually know what it says? Again, it's really simple. Simply navigate to the page you're looking for that you want to research on. Now, again, I'm using Firefox here. Pretty much works the same on Apple's Safari, Google's Chrome. They're all about they really all honestly look identical to this. So navigate to the page, right click on your mouse anywhere on that page, and it's going to pull up your little menu. And generally towards the bottom, you're going to see View Page Source. And you just click on that. It'll actually open a secondary page which has the HTML of the page, which is actually the code a website is written in. Which is actually what's transmitted and what the bots read and what the web browsers also read that information, and then they create the web page for you. That's what a web browser does. And then you'll generally see fairly towards the top, you will see your title tag. Like right here, this is this school. I actually pulled it up. It's just a local school here. Line 5. Mine actually counts the lines for me. Line 5 right there, title. And notice they are Denver private school for pre-kindergarten to age 12. Then they have their name, right? This was the #1 search result when I looked for private school Denver, by the way, because it says they've got private school in Denver right there in the very front. But that's how you can go ahead and see what your title tag is. You'll also find your title tag up at the top of your web browser. In those, they look like file folders, right? The little file tabs at the top. All the browsers have something fairly similar to this. You'll actually see that depending on how big your screen is, it has the words, and then if you hover over it, it'll actually pull up the entire title tag for that web page. Again, this is the same one, so you can see it says Denver Private School. So if I was searching for a private school in Denver, and this is the title tag, and this is what's up at the top of my browser, do you not think that subconsciously my mind's going to be picking that up versus if it just said Colorado Academy up there? Now there's going to be that subtle difference. I'm going to subtly understand what that school is better about. One of the other reasons why this is so powerful and so important for you to have this title tag right and to have your keywords in it. One of the other ways this title tag is used is it's the blue bold, or if you clicked on it already, it becomes that magenta bold and larger print that the search engines use for the top of each listing. Now, the search engines do sometimes kind of manipulate it a little bit. Like you'll see that this one is slightly manipulated, but it picks up that the title tag is Denver Private School for pre-K to 12. And right there's the Denver Private School for pre-K to 12. It has gone and said, oh, hey, you were searching for a private school, therefore we're going to put, here's the search results, and here's the title for that page. Just like if you walked in to a library and said, I would like a book on aerodynamics. Right? The library is going to take you to the section that has all the books on aerodynamics, and you're going to be able to look at the titles. Right? Now, if you're looking through, there's aerodynamics, and there's calculus, and aerodynamics. Which one of those isn't like the other? Right? You're probably not going to click on it. The other thing, which I will tell you too, is the search engines. Although they do change this from time to time, and I think they did it on this search result for me, they will actually highlight the keywords that someone types in if they're in the search results at all. So if I type in, you can see here that I typed in private school Denver. My search here was Denver private or private school Denver, but it went and said, okay, he was looking for the word private school and Denver, so they actually highlighted those words. A lot of times they'll actually do it in the title too. So again, think if you're looking through, you've got 10 results there, and one of them has the highlighted words that you typed in there that you're looking for. Which one are you going to click on? Which website are you going to go to? Again, this title tag is again one of the most important things, especially the one for your homepage. And finally, I'm going to take a drink here for just a second. And finally, the final area that the title tag can be used in is it actually becomes the default if someone were to bookmark the web page. So if again, this is my browser. If I just click on the little star button, it pulls it up. But now yes, I can change what that bookmark title is, but the default is whatever your title tag was. So think about this. So again, we're back to what keywords go in what order and what do you want to have there. If your title tag just says home, as probably about half of you in this program right now have as your home page, or just your school name, and someone wants to save that so they can come back, they're looking at 4 different school web pages tonight during the commercial breaks of Survivor, and they're going to come back and talk to their wife tomorrow about what programs they've found and what schools they've found. When one of them says home, the other one just says Colorado Academy, and then you finally got the one that says, private school for, K to 12. Which one of those are you going to remember first? And when you're going down your list of bookmarks, are you going to remember to associate first with the schools, with the private school that you're looking for? Again, really important to get your main keywords in there. Not always the name of your school. Your name of your school can come secondary, and that's actually what that pipe symbol is great for. That up and down straight line. It's called a pipe. It's a pipe symbol. It just works tremendously for making that break between different segments, because it's not a sentence. It's just a fragment. Really, really important for you to get those right, especially the one for your homepage, because that's the one that can make or break your website all day long. All right, so the other on-page factors, we have the description tag which is simply a long explanation about what your page is about. Think about this as the back of the cover or the inside flap of a book if we're back in that library analogy. And this is essentially 2 to 3 sentences that flow, that make sense, that explain what your website is, what your web page is about, what that one page is about. Just like you would never want to have 2 books have the same descriptions of what that book is about. No 2 pages on your website should have the exact same description, because each page is slightly different. Your home page is about your school, right? Your first grade page is about first grade. Your math page is about math. So they should have slightly different descriptions. But this is really, it's 2 to 3 sentences that flow together. So a small paragraph. Google records up to 200 to 300 characters. Although they seem to be expanding that on us a lot more. We're finding more and more that as we push the limits, they're actually accepting longer and longer sections of that. So, but looking for 2 to 3 flowing sentences that make sense, that explain what that page is about. So now the description tag actually does not appear anywhere on your page, whereas the title tag kind of showed up a couple different places, not necessarily in the content of the page itself, but it showed up on the tabs at the top, showed up in the bookmark section. Description doesn't show up anywhere. The only place that it ever really shows up is the default wording for Google and the other search engines to what they put as the main content of your search result of your search engine result page result. So as you'll see here, here's one that's actually over in Grand Junction. So it actually picks up. Now it does a little bit. It picked up some other words because again they kind of start combining this stuff to try and figure out what you are looking for in your result. But I was looking for, I think I actually typed in just this school's name, so it did that. But you'll see that it's Grand Junction, and then it starts picking up right here after this first section. It starts picking up the what they put in their description. Again, I'm looking at the description. If you want to find what your description is on the page, it's the same as finding it on your for the title tags. Go to that view page source, and here you'll find it's generally not at the very top. It's generally down a little bit. Here it's on line 30. So that might take about half a page of scrolling to find it. But that is where Google does it, and it still does really help your search results if you have your keywords in there. But it's really about also trying to help entice people to click on your listing and to come to your page. So it's about providing, what's the benefit that that web page, that clicking over to your web page will provide. A lot of times I find, instead of just telling what your program is about, learn about how our private school, can help your child meet, what you want them to do. I'm not coming up with any great wordings right now because I just read that other one and it's kind of thrown me for a loop. Not there's anything off about that. That's what most of yours read about. But let it help sell your program. The other thing, which I think we've talked about this before, and those of you that have heard me talk about, local SEO and, Google Maps and Google Plus, being on those. Also having your phone number in the description is tremendously powerful and helpful. Because what a lot of people are searching for, they're searching for your school or they're searching for a private school, is they're actually looking to contact you. And the fewer clicks that you can make them do, the better. So if you actually have your phone number in your description, a lot of times it stops that step or 2 extra that they would have to take. It also helps the search engines relate your website or your home page to your Google Plus business listing, because it goes, oh, hey, that phone number is the same on both. These two must be related. And as those databases kind of pull and the algorithm starts looking at different variables, it's having that phone number helps that match. It also helps too if your phone number is in an image, so the search engines can't necessarily index that because they do not index images. They index words. The final on-page factors is the keyword tag. And this is just a list of keywords that's on your page. It's really not used that much anymore. This used to be used a lot back even 10 years ago. The search engines really didn't have the ability or the database to store every word on your page. So they said, okay, why don't you just tell us what your page is about, what the keywords that your page is about, and we will trust you to do the right thing, and we'll just use those as the words in our database and match those when someone puts in a search. As you can probably imagine, we real quickly figured out how to game that system. We quickly figured out that we could put words that had nothing to do with what was on the web page in the keyword thing and get our web in the keyword tag and get our web page to rank for stuff that it had nothing to do with, or to win by putting that keyword in there 3 different times. So they don't really use it that much anymore, but it's still a great place to put related words on your page that don't really fit within the text, because the search engine still does read that, and it still does take it into consideration, especially if it's that LSI, that latent semantic indexing, so it relates to the other words on your page. So some of the big things I find with this is if you do like surrounding cities, right? If you're in Denver, well, Denver has suburbs of Aurora, Broomfield, Lakewood, Boulder, all of those, and all those surrounding areas. Also neighborhoods. A lot of towns have a lot of cities, have the towns, but then they also have neighborhoods within those towns or that overlap town borders, but it's the neighborhood that matters. So putting those in there that help relate to your area that you serve, right? Wouldn't make sense to put a list of every neighborhood. Yeah, this is, Colorado Academy serves Denver, Lakewood, Broomfield, Aurora, Commerce City, downtown Denver. It wouldn't make sense to put all of those on a page, and it wouldn't read well, which is why the search engines still let us use the title tag for stuff like that. And they understand if you're putting Denver in there and then you're listing all the surrounding neighborhoods and towns, they understand that. The other place that this is also good for, especially when we start getting into some of the classes and grades, is the other ways that you might list your class or grade. So if we're looking like at a first grade class, you can call it first, right? F-I-R-S-T. You can also have one ST. Well, you don't want to necessarily have both of those on one page. It's not going to read right. It's not proper grammar all the time. But you might want to put in the title tag the first, the one ST. Some of you I know name your younger grades different cute little names. So you might want to have in your keywords that name and the other names that would be associated, the frogs, the butterfly grade, especially when you have some of the pre-K schools that some of you I know are all the way down from child care all the way up through high school, right? And you might name some of those younger classrooms things. Make sure that you're putting the other words that a searcher, that a prospect might be looking for in the keyword tag. So that's really what it's there for, is just to kind of help us do that. So do put some thought into what you put into it, and make sure, I'll talk about it here in a minute, make sure that each page is different. That's one of the biggest things. Each page on your website has to be different. So the keywords for your home page and the key page and the keywords for your first grade classroom should be different, even if only slightly, by putting one ST in there and maybe a name or first, or putting the ages of the kids that would be in that classroom if it's not on the page. All right, so real quick, how do we edit the metadata? This is just the back end of my website here. I'm in WordPress. Again, it powers 90+% of the websites out there. So just make sure, so it's really simple. Back page, down towards the bottom of most pages, there's an SEO section, search engine optimization. You actually see mine. On this website, I use a plugin called Yoast SEO. If your standard default website design does not have SEO capability, there are numerous plugins that are free. Their basic program is free, and then I think for the more advanced, it's, I don't know, $1.50 a month or something for really advanced for really advanced stuff, which is like amazing stuff. So basically, you'll see right here the title tag for this page. I believe this is my consultation page, which most of you came through, which is you request a consultation with me first to see if we can even work together. I think most of you probably remember that, or your administrator or your owner does understand that. So just go ahead. So that's that right there. It allows me to put in what my title would want to be. Here's my description. What do I want my description to be? The keywords that I would use are actually up just a little bit further. The way Yoast works is that it also looks at the at my page content to make sure that I'm using it enough times. And it has a slight LSI pull from it, so it can kind of tell me which words might relate, so I can use them in my content. So it actually has my keywords further top. But that's really how you update your meta tags. Very simple. Looks like Microsoft Word. Anyone can go in here and make changes. And also, there's ways that you could actually make a change here and save it as an unpublished draft, which says that, hey, you as the administrator can go in and make the changes and then have your web design person review it, or maybe have a lower level teacher who has some free time make the changes and have you as the administrator approve it before it actually gets published. So just, again, WordPress is really designed to be really simple and really foolproof. So not a problem. Or just go in and tell your webmaster to make these changes. If it's taken them more than 5 minutes to type in what you want them to do, they have issues, and secondarily, they should just be able to cut and paste. All right. So, on-page factors, what to fix first. If you've decided that, hey, we need to make some changes, what do we fix first? The first thing is your main page keywords in content. Make sure that and the main pages, I should say pages. I was working on this pretty late last night, I gotta admit, trying to get ready for today's call, because I know I scheduled with y'all, and I kept updating stuff and adding stuff to this program because I kept thinking of new things every time I tried to take a nap. So make sure that the main pages have the keywords in the content. So the home page, your programs, classes, grades pages, and also the About Us page. That's another very powerful page within the search algorithms. So make sure that all those have the keywords in the content. Just like that one school that we looked at that did not have private school in their content. And then they wonder why they don't show up well. So make sure that you have whatever the keywords are that you've determined for that page are in there. Make sure that those are in the content. That's a number one, first, most important thing to do. And again, if you need help with this, give me a call, set up one of our 30-minute one-on-ones. In 30 minutes, we can get through just about every single page on your website and all the main pages easily with all of these fixes. Even if we don't do the fixes, we can at least write out what they should be. Most of the time, too, as those of you who've worked with me know, sometimes I'll just go ahead and log into your backend to the WordPress, and we'll just make the changes live while we're there. Or sometimes I'll even just do it for you offline and show you what changes I've made. So just know, so that's the first thing. It's not going to take you long to get through all that, just making sure that you're using the content. Yes, you might have to reword some paragraphs here and there to get things in. Most of the time, it's just the fact that you never thought about it. You didn't put the thought in, and you typed those touchy-feely blah, blah, blah words. And you didn't step back, take a second, look at those main pages, make sure you have your keywords in the content. The next thing you want to fix is make sure that your home page title and description are well written and optimized. When I'm doing SEO updates for websites, I can easily spend 20% of my time just trying to optimize those two things on the home page. This is why if we were to do our consultations with this, this is one I actually word generally pretty well ahead of time, and I've got it down pretty pat, but pretty easy to do. But what you'll see is that those are so important, and it is challenging sometimes to within 70 characters to get all your keywords and your location and your school name all within 70 to 80 characters. And it's hard to get that description that reads right, that talks about your program, that has the keywords in it, that still flows as two sentences, and that has your phone number in there. Sometimes it takes some rewording to make everything sound right and to work. So sometimes we have to work at it a little bit. So I can easily spend, but make sure, so that's the number 2 thing to do. Once you get the content on the main pages, make sure that the home page title and description are well written and optimized. The next is you want to make sure the title and description tags for all the other pages on your site are different and in good shape. Okay, there's actually a penalty for, if you've heard of the duplicate content penalty, and it's one of the bigger penalties in the search algorithm, is that if you have, and what it relates to is if you have multiple pages on your site that have the same content. Google says that's not useful, that's not helpful, and we don't appreciate it. When we're talking about the on-page factors, we're talking about the title tag, the description tag. Again, imagine walking into a library and having 6 or 7 books all have the exact same title and the exact same description on the back cover. But what's in the book is totally different. So you've got one book on first grade math, another one on second grade math, another one on third grade math, and all of them have the title of math, and on the back cover it goes, this book will teach your child how to do math for the appropriate grade. So you actually have to open up and start reading the book to figure out what grade level that book is for. How useful would that be? How likely are you just to dump off and say, you know what, I'm going to go to another library because this is not working for me? That's what the duplicate penalty is about. So you want to make sure that every page on your website has a different title and a different description. Now, sometimes it can be as little of a change as adding a couple words, and this is generally what I'll do. If we go back to that Colorado Academy one, so it'd be, private school Denver, pipe, Colorado Academy, that's the home page. The first grade classroom would be Denver Private School, pipe, Colorado Academy, pipe, first grade. Right? That is considered a different title because it is different. That would tell you what that, it's math first grade, math second grade, math third grade. If the titles just told you that, you'd then understand, even if the description was the same, you would at least understand what the book was about. You also want to make sure the description is different. Generally, this is about putting, a sentence in the front saying this is what this page, our first grade classrooms focused on kids age blank to blank, and Colorado Academy is a private Christian school in Denver, Colorado that focuses on child wellness. I forget exactly how they had it all worded now, but make sure that just each page, every single page of your site has a slightly different description. WordPress a lot of times will do a lot of this for you, but if you do start overwriting them, which you should be doing, you want to make sure that it's at least making those small changes for you. The fourth thing is to make sure the keywords on all the main pages are different. Again, the home page and the first grade page should have slightly different keywords. Generally, this means adding keywords that relate to the sub pages. So the home page is just going to have the private school and the locations and the neighborhoods. The first grade page is going to have the ages, first, 1ST, those things. So it's just, most of the time, the keywords is just simply adding the words about the page to all the sub pages. So just make sure that they're different for every single page, because again, there's a penalty, and a very strong penalty, if they are all the same. Fifth, you want to make sure the title, description, and keyword tags are all different on all the remaining pages. So again, remember, we took care of the content on our important pages. We took care of the home page, metadata. We did the all the page contents. We've done the metadata on all the other main pages. We did the keywords on all the pages. Now we want to make sure the title, description, and keywords are all different. For all the pages, just go through all the sub pages now. So not the main pages, not the home page or the grade pages or the about us. We're now talking about Miss Barber's page, or the page about Miss Lee who does the art class. Some of those sub pages, the athletic programs, sometimes those don't get a whole lot of visits, so we don't really need to worry about them a whole lot. Again, just look at the traffic to each page to figure out which ones are important. And finally, the sixth one is check the page content on all the remaining pages, just to make sure that they have the keywords in them and they make sense. Again, if you have a program about an art class that's maybe 3 levels deep, because it's Miss Lee's art class, not just art class, but she does a special something with art, which I know a lot of you have those. You have those amazing art teachers that I love. But it's about her classroom in particular, so it's main page, high school art, Miss Lee's art class. Just make sure that down there that it actually talks about art, that you're not kind of jumping around the terms to be salesy and be pretty with your words, and have missed the fact that you should be having the word art in there. And I will apologize, I am looking at our time. I know we're going a little bit long. Again, I just kept adding stuff to this. Again, this recording will be available within the membership area if you need it, and if you need to sign off, I do appreciate you hanging around. If not, we're just going to kind of keep going here. All right, so we've talked about the on-page factors. Now let's talk about the off-page factors. Again, we broke the algorithm into 2 main areas that we can affect. So let's go ahead and talk. So the first one being the on-page. Now the off-page, these are things which you cannot control from inside your website editor, which is why they're called the off-page factors. The search engines would like to say that you cannot control them, but you really can. You have some influence over them, but just not necessarily directly through the website editor. And the biggest one of these is links. So other websites that are pointing to you, or other web pages that are pointing to you. This is one of the most important factors in how well you rank in the search results, is really the links. And the reason why is because Google and the other ones have kind of come along, but this is what really made Google such a great and powerful search engine, is that they said it's a voting machine. Links are a voting machine. And this, again, transformed Google into who they were when they came out with this, versus Yahoo, which used to be the search engine. And Yahoo didn't use this linking as a part of their algorithm for search results. So when Google came out with it, it just totally transformed the market, which is why Google is now the powerhouse that it is, and Yahoo is where it is. But it's considered a voting machine. And the basic thought process here is, if nobody ever links to your website, then there must be nothing of value on your website, right? If no one's linking to it, then how important really is your website? The other side is, if your site is heavily linked to, then there must be something very valuable about that website. There must be some value on your site. So that's basically the way links work, is it says, hey, if no one's linking to you, then you must not have any value. If people are linking to you, then you do have value. Also, of course, this will make a lot of sense. Not all links are equal, right? Links from a highly rated website will have a greater weight than a link from an unknown website. I think this should kind of make sense, right? If CNN were to link to your website, that should mean a lot more than if an unknown site out of China has linked to you, right? There's weight. So it's actually called page rank, and page rank and page weight can bleed through the links to add so a highly rated site will actually make their link is worth more in how well you show up in results. So a key thing on this would be, say CNN links to you, to your site about an innovative STEM program that you're doing, and then someone in your area searches for private STEM high school, right? You're going to show up probably at the top of that result very easily because of that ranking, because that link from CNN meant so much. So if links mean so much, let's talk about getting links. The first thing, I think I've already said, links are very, very important. And I also realize that each page, this is one of those criteria, which I think I forgot to put this on a slide, but this is one of those criteria that kind of works throughout the entire website. So a link to your home page will give credit to a lot of the other pages within your site, even though proper linking within your website also does add links. So properly linking from the home page to your different grade levels really does matter, and really is important that you do link those properly and sublink down into especially some of your authority figure articles. But let's talk about more of that external link, which is kind of what we can control, which we technically cannot control, which is why it's called off-page factor. So get listed in all the directories that you can, especially local directories. And now most of these are online now, so get listed in the local school directories. Get listed in the local business directories. This is actually where being in the yellow page directory actually has a value, even though I'm not a big fan of the yellow pages anymore. So make sure that you're listed in all those directories. Get your website listed in all the private parochial school directories. So make sure that you're in all of those directories. The goodschool.org kind of websites that have just a directory of school, because again, they link back to you. They're a website that's linking to you. That has value. It says that yes, it is a part of that voting machine, especially the ones that have some type of a vetting process. So you want to make sure you do that. You want to make sure you link to yourself when making posts on other people's websites, like Facebook and YouTube. So when you go, I don't know how many times I see this, people go to their Facebook page or their Facebook school page, and they talk about, oh, we had such a great day. The art class did this. Here's their artwork. And there's never a link from that back to your page. Again, if this was Miss Lee's art class that did that, maybe you want to put a link in the content about how great that day was in the pictures, linking back to either Miss Lee's art class or maybe just your art programs in general page. Right? You want to be putting those links out there. Same thing with YouTube. If you post a video on YouTube, make sure in the description you have a link back to your website. That is a vote. Yes, again, Google technically says you can't control that, even though it's you who's putting it in there. But it's a link back. These links slowly build. As you can see, if you're regularly going out and making links that make sense, make sure that you're doing that. The final place is when you make quality comments on other social media sites. A lot of times you can link back to you. Now, a lot of times this is done in the signature line. What I'm talking about here is a lot of times forums are really huge about this. When you go to those forums on education and you start becoming a leader in those groups, or you're making good comments, right? A lot of times your signature line is allowed to have a link back to your school or program. Make sure that you're utilizing that. So when you are making those quality statements, people are, that they are getting linked back to you and your school. Because again, that's going to affect the algorithm some too. Because they're going to say, oh, look, this person has made, 50 comments on these different forums, and they're all linking back to her, and they're liking her. The comments are getting upvoted. Therefore, they must have some value to them. That goes into how quality of a link it is. And obviously, if you're making quality comments there, then your web page must have some quality to it. Therefore, we're going to rank it higher, is what Google is saying. All right, so the whole point of search engine optimization, again, is it's not black magic. We're not really trying to play games. We're just simply trying to help the search engines understand what your website and your web pages are all about. We're just trying to help them to figure it out by using the proper content, right? So this tells them how to show you to the people who you can help, right? You're not trying to be all things to all people with SEO. You're trying to be the best answer for your ideal client. And the more that you can help the search engines understand who that would be by using the keywords that your ideal client would be using, the higher you're going to rank. Again, it's just about trying to get to that number one place. So first off, we're talking about on-page factors. Remember that. It was the keywords in content that mattered. Your title tags mattered. Making sure that the title for that page was different and that it defined the keywords that page was about that your prospects would be using. The description, 2 to 3 sentences that again use your keywords but help describe what that page was about. And the keywords. What are the keywords for that page, both in the content and in the keyword tag? And finally, you got the off-page factors, which is simply links and more links, because links are what really, really matter. Again, thank you all. I know this has been a lot longer than the 45 to 50 minutes I said it was going to be. I apologize for that. But again, I really wanted to get all this content out there to you because I've been getting a lot of questions from you about this kind of content. Again, this has been Devin Murray. Thank you again for being a part of the Inner Circle membership program. If you need anything from me, feel free to set up one of the one-on-one consultations, or just email me, and most of you know, and I'll get back with you pretty quick on those emails. So anyways, take care, have a tremendous week, and I look forward to talking to you all on our live call next week. This has been Devin Murray. Take care and God bless. Oh, hi everyone, this is Devin Murray and welcome back. Just a real quick, I want to put something real quick in here. Obviously that was a pre-recorded live training that I did for a lot of my Inner Circle membership members, but I wanted to go ahead and put it out for everyone else. I got their permission to go ahead and put that out to go ahead and help everyone. I think you might have noticed, if you've listened to that this really is what I love to do. I love helping owners and administrators make their programs better, to get their message out to their ideal clients so that they can help them and help the kids that are in their schools and in their communities. So I just wanted to really reach out to you real quick with this message and say, this is what I love to do, and if any way that I can help you, let's go ahead and sit down and talk and see if we would be a good fit to work together. Obviously, I'm not the right fit for everybody, but if you are the right fit for me, I would love to sit down and talk with you and work with you. So to do that, just go to the Attract More Families website. There's schedule a consultation. I think I actually had it in this presentation. So go ahead and just get on there and let me know, and I look forward to talking to you and seeing if we can work together. Anyways, God bless and take care.